33 degrees is what we got to last night. So yeah, we got super close, but nothing got bit back really. Man, so close. Every degree counts. But I'm gonna take you around and I'm gonna show you everything in the garden and even the rest of the homestead, the bees and the chickens and stuff like that, and just show you what's going on. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I kind of want to talk about what's good and what's bad right now in my garden. In case a little situation arises, we are feeding our bees right here. We got a community feeder set up, so they are all over it, as you can see. I get pretty close. We've got these boxes set up that they're robbing out so we can put them up for winter. The reason why I show you is because the flight path is like right there. They've honed in on it. So if you see me ducking and dodging, that's why. It's just that time of year. It's starting to get cold and we need to kind of feed the hives a little bit more and get them going. But as far as the garden goes, there's a lot going on here, and there's a couple things I could have changed, but overall we're pretty happy with. I think we'll start here. This garden looks amazing, this bed right here. We've got our radishes in the front, and since it started to cool off, we're actually getting some pretty good growth on them. These are the early Scarlet Globe radishes that we have in our seed shop. And then these are our turnips, and this kind of, when I used my seeder, I've had the wrong hole opening on them and it was just dumping seeds in. So we had to go through and really thin them out. I had so many seeds in there that I literally just went in and I've thinned it out in multiple ways. I came through and I would like just randomly pull stuff out, like measure distances, let them grow, and I'd do it again and do it again. And I was wanting to stay on top of it. They started getting really nice size on them, and they just got all entangled really bad. So we may not get a lot of roots because of the overcrowding, but we're gonna have plenty of turnip greens if that's what you're into. I'm not so into them, but I think this year I'm gonna have to learn to get into them. Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. I'm in coastal North Carolina. 33 degrees last night. It's 48 degrees right now. It's cooled off. It's super windy if you can't tell. So we're gonna be dealing with that as well, between the bees, the wind, the clouds. It's gonna be fun. But I wanna say this really quickly. If you are not a member of the channel, that's fine. But what we're gonna start doing in December, we're gonna have our first members only meeting. And we're gonna do that separately, video chat, and we're gonna be working on garden experiments. So if you wanna be a part of that, you need to be a member. So join up and feel free. It just helps support the channel. And you can kind of think about it like you're joining a gardening club. That's what I'm hoping to run this as. So we've got a few members now. If you want to step up, that's fine at any point, and we can include you, but you got to be a member to be a part of it. And we're going to have our meetings, I think it was the second Wednesday of every month. So that'll start the second Wednesday in December. The Brussels sprouts are doing really good, actually. Last year was my first successful year. Let me find a way to get in there. They're doing really good. We've got some good growth on them. I think the size that we have these in the back were the size we had last January. So we are moving in the right direction with these. I'm liking what I see here. I've got a couple potatoes that must have come through. And honestly, I've just been waiting for the frost to take their toll on them. I did come through here the other day, and you can see I cleaned up the bottom of all the plants, and that's just to help the airflow come in. I tried to get it all out because I don't like to do the chop and drop because it introduces white mold into the garden, because it just basically forms a mat and lets the water sit on it. But we're doing really good here. The size is about right. We need these, so if we just focus on, this is a pretty good size one. We need it to be about right here. And then, can you see that? Yeah, right there. And then that will start forming the Brussels sprouts the way we want. So at this point, it's just time is all we need. Now we're a little short on time. The sun's getting lower, it's getting cooler. I did last night, I knew it wasn't gonna get quite to freezing, so I went ahead and shot them one more dose of nitrogen, and that should help pump everything up. That may be another reason why the turnips aren't really bulbing like I wanted to, or forming the roots, because I've shot a lot of nitrogen to them, and I just didn't have it in me to really eliminate that bed. So we're not gonna worry about it. We've got enough crops out here that are nitrogen hungry that we just need to keep focusing on those. That kind of outweighs the rest. Here's another root bed. You know, I didn't think that these rutabagas were gonna do anything, and they've done really well. This is a Natamorska rutabaga. So it's a different shape. But if we come in here, we're starting to form some bulbs or some roots. And I think I need to come in here and clean out some of these lower limbs just to get some more airflow in here as well. I'm really big on airflow. Even though we haven't had a lot of rain, the heavy dews and stuff keep the ground moist. And then those mats of leaves can really cause an issue. But we're still probably roughly about a month away from getting those, which I was hoping to get a Christmas turnip anyways. So we're basically on schedule for that. We do have one parsnip. The hurricane took out our parsnip bed, but we do have one parsnip that looks like it's going to be a good size. And then we've got some radishes that I just sprinkled in here. These were a little bit later, but we do have a couple in here that are doing good. And really, I just put them in here to keep the soil active, to kind of outweigh the weeds, and it's done its job. Here in about a week, we're going to come out and we're going to put our garlic in right here. So you can see I've been trying to kind of keep it clear. We've got this one drip line here that will run our row down, and then we'll just let this bed run its course. I mean, I didn't want to throw in the towel. I fully seeded it for parsnips. The heat got to it. Then we had the hurricane, the seeds, I guarantee they rotted in there. And we actually had, I think, maybe one or two that made it through. But you never count a bed out, you know what I mean? So we transplanted the rutabagas in, and they seem to have taken hold. And the cooler it's gotten, the stronger they've gotten, the better they've looked. It's just a testament to what some of these plants can do. This is our broccoli bed, and this bed is all broccoli at this point. We did direct sow some, which we'll get to in a second. You can't, if you look at the bed, you don't really see those. Everything is doing well. We are just about to the heading part. I do believe, yeah. So we've got a head forming. So we will start forming heads now. And this plant's about the right size to get a decent sized head. Here's some that we direct sowed just to see how they would do. And it is not heading yet, which is good, because if this plant formed the head, it would be a very small head. So we're just gonna see, I wanna see the timing of these and how they work out. I mean, clearly these, especially like this one, will outpace those, but we still have plenty of time. We really don't need to worry about that here until about January is when they will start to cut out. The freezing will start to get to them. But at the rate this season's going, who knows? Not count anything out at this point, you know what I'm saying? It could be a crapshoot, but we'll take it. I mean, at this point, the fact that we're forming a head, this is just about when I wanted to form a head. So if that one's just going, I'd say in about 2 weeks we'll be pulling that broccoli. And that means I wanted to have broccoli for Thanksgiving. We're gonna be a little late clearly, but that's okay. This bed I kind of use as my scrap bed. I had extras. So we've got our cabbages. These are flat Dutch cabbages, and they seem to be doing well. We did have some pest issues on this one. Like I said, we didn't have enough to fill up the bed, so then we threw in some of the extra broccolis, and they're starting to do well. The stems are not as thick as I'd like for them to be, but they'll get there in time. As far as the cabbages go, this one is just starting to head. It's going to produce a small head. But again, I'm not overly concerned about it. This one is just about to start forming a head, and it's actually got a few more leaves, so it'll be better. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. The Seminole pumpkin the time is running out. All of this on here is due to lack of sunlight from the low sun. The cold is taking its toll on it. Hopefully, I can rip this whole thing out. I'd say in a couple weeks it'd be gone. Really want to get my gardens back. I want to be able to walk in there easily. I just didn't have the heart, and I still have like 4 or 5 pumpkins on it growing. So hopefully they can get to a mature stage and then we can harvest them. But it's doing good. But yeah, this is all because of the cold, and it just happens, you know. It's part of it. It's part of the cycle of life. This bed here has done really well, actually. We've got our kale here. We're not really harvesting that yet. I mean, we could, but we're harvesting enough other things to let that go. So we've got 3 kale plants and 2 collards in this row. And then this row is all mustards, and you can see the mustards are doing really good, so I'm happy about that. These are the mustards here, and the bok choys are growing nicely. I mean, that is a nice bok choy. So we're harvesting these as we want to eat them. We're not really running out of time. And I said in a previous video, since the weather was gonna act stupid, I was gonna be stupid and plant some more lettuce, and I haven't even checked on them. That's how much of a good gardener I am. I kind of wasn't concerned about it. I want to see. I'm not seeing any lettuce, which is okay. You get what effort you put in, right? So we'll see if it comes up. It may come up and I may not notice it, but it'll be fine. So as we harvest these bok choy, it'll create more sunlight, because you can see like this mustard right here is missing the sunlight. So that's actually the next one we're going to harvest, and that'll clear it out. In the future, if I was to plant this bed, I would probably plant it a little bit different, because the kale, the collards, and possibly the mustard could make it all the way through winter, but the other stuff won't. So what we'll end up with is plants, a bed that really can't rest the way we want. And I'm going to be talking about that soon, but you know, I'm not worried about it. By the time it gets to be spring, we'll be done eating kale and stuff like that, because we'll end up depending on that. So, and those 3 plants, and plus what's in the greenhouse, which we'll get to in a minute, we'll have plenty of kale produced for us. So we're not overly concerned about it. Go back to the greenhouse, walk through our pitiful looking tunnel. I will say this, I may have to bring my torch out here and clean all this up afterwards. It's kind of a pain to get this off, but we'll work on it piece by piece. Look at that. Just a little pumpkin starting to grow. Hopefully we can get that one to go, but I don't think it will. We still got basil here. I left the other pots to go. Before we get in the greenhouse, let's look at these cabbages. So these cabbages, I'm surprised, are doing what they're doing, because this is the shadiest spot in the garden. But we got decent size on them. We had some pest damage, but you can see we had pest damage and we treated, and then we fed. And so this is the next generation of leaves that are coming out, and it is just in the early stages of forming a head. So we should be pretty good to go as far as this goes. That one over there is looking real good, if you ask me personally. And these are these are husk tomatoes that grew from 2 years ago. The seeds were still in the ground from 2 years ago, and all we're doing is I should pull them, but I'm just waiting for the cold to kill them. I'm not really concerned about it, but it could be stealing nutrients from this plant, which is why it looks a little stunted. And the only one we have left from our direct sowing is this small one in the back here. So we're just gonna let that one grow, see what happens. Like the members group, you gotta have a experiment going on every once in a while, you know, and just wanna see what happens. I mean, what's it gonna hurt? We can always pull it if we have to. Here's the greenhouse. Open it up. Our potatoes are looking good. They're starting to fall over. Man, it's nice and warm in here. So they're starting to fall over, which means we will possibly get some more potatoes out of here. And I'm still, I do have these broccoli here that made it all right last night. They're all germinated. We have full germination. I was gonna put them here, but I didn't get to test my potato in the cold in the greenhouse like I wanted to. So I may have to adjust that. I mean, if I take this 6-pack here, I could probably fit 6 broccolis right here. So that could be a possibility. And then we've got our lettuces here, which they look right pitiful, don't they? So we're just gonna let these grow. These are gonna be slow. So as the sun gets lower, it gets tough to grow in here. And then as soon as it turns around, everything perks up. Essentially what that means is this lettuce will make it, I would say we would start harvesting it in about January. It's gonna be really slow, but we know from past experiences that if we can make it to January, then all of a sudden that'll kind of pick up. We do have these kale plants that made it through the summer with no water in here, and they're looking really good. And actually this one right here, I topped it the other day just because it was getting too tall, and it's bushed out considerably. So what we're doing is we're creating more and more points to harvest from around it. Just want to see how it goes. This one's becoming a little tree, so we're just going to let it run as long as possible and see. Now I do have an issue in here. My wax cylinder is crashed at this point, so yeah, it thinks it's shut right now and it's not. So you're gonna have to work on that a little bit. And I've been adjusting it just to see if I can get it to go down, but it looks like I'm gonna have to replace my cylinder, which is expected. Kind of sucks, I'm losing heat right now, but this is the time to catch it. Yeah, that's not gonna work. It closes, but just not like we wanted to. But we're generating heat in here, which is good. And we're gonna have a cold snap for the next couple of days. So what I'm gonna do is just leave this shut and just manage the heat that way. Man, my nose is running from the cold. So we'll let it run and see what happens, but we gotta replace that wax. So I gotta get that window to shut. That's super important. And what I noticed over the summer is it wasn't opening as high, so I kind of had a feeling. As far as the bees go, we've reduced all of our hives down. This is the size they'll be through the winter. And we reduce them so that they will retain heat better. They don't have as much room to protect. We did take 2 hives from over here that were weak and combined them over here into the yellow hive and the orange hive here. So we basically have 2 super hives. So in the spring, those will turn into 3 hives each. So we'll be able to make more beehives next year. The only thing I have left to do is, actually, I got a lot left to do for the bees, but I gotta feed them, I gotta make candy boards, I've got to put mouse guards on them, and I've got to feed them 2 to 1 and sugar candy boards, which means I gotta build those too. So we'll be doing that in the near future. Not on this channel, but we'll be doing it. Probably gonna put it on Sandy Bottom Bees if I can get out and record it. I just haven't had time to keep up with that channel like I had anticipated, but we're gonna try and revamp it. So if you're interested in bees, check out Sandy Bottom Bees and be ready, because when things start to pick up, we plan to kind of go back into that one more active. Chickens back here, they're doing good. Yeah, y'all are doing good. They are molting, as you can see. So everybody's getting ready for winter. It's getting a lot less for this time of year, so we're getting less eggs. And they're molting, so they don't do that as well. But again, in January, that will start to turn around. The sun gets higher because they're affected by light. They produce less eggs, and then when they molt, they don't really produce eggs as they molt. So as the sun gets higher and the temperatures, in January they don't really warm up much, but we could start to see an inkling of warmer weather, then we can get that going. They will start to produce more. I gotta tell you, I love eggs, and it's been a while. My son's eating all the eggs. I sacrifice them for him, and it just is what it is. But we've got our raccoon issue. We're getting it under control. They're not getting into the garden as bad, or really at all, thankfully, because we changed our fertilization. And then as far as the chickens go, it's not so bad. We did lose 1 chicken recently, but we've been trying to stay on top of it better. And it's just this time of year, everything's really hungry. The drought's taking its toll on the food supply, and the cold is really wearing it down. Overall, the garden's doing really good. The bees are doing really good. The chickens are doing good. I'm pretty happy with the way things have worked out. I've really worked on my timing this year, planting earlier and focusing on production times, and things are really starting to work out. I mean, truth be told, I think we're gonna get harvest off of our broccoli. I'm pretty sure we'll get some kind of harvest off of our Brussels sprouts, and then the cabbages, I think it'll be a 50-50. I'm not sure what we'll get, but you know, we'll take what we can get out of those. It's always, fall is a hard time of year because of how low the sun gets, but we're just gonna get as much as we can, and we'll go from there. As of right now, we have 18 days until the winter solstice, and then it all turns around and we start getting more sun, and that's what drives everything. So let us know how everything's going in your garden. If you're growing, if you're not growing, just let us know what is working for you and how it's going. Curious to find out. And remember, everything that you say in the comments can help other people too. So definitely want to do that. And if you want to become a member, do that and be part of our club. It'd be fun to have you over there. I got some good ideas to throw out there, but this is a vote. It's not all up to me. It's up to you.